is the 3rd of February 2026. A very good morning to you. It's a bright Tuesday morning. Yeah. We're only on the 3rd day of February, but a lot is already happening this month.
I thought you were going to give us a countdown for
Valentine's?
To Valentine's.
No, we'll come to that.
Exactly 11 days to Valentine's. This is the Morning Cafe. Karibu sana. My name is Freddy.
And my name is Ann Odida. Yesterday, to be specific, a lot happened. And ndio maana tuko hapa tukuambie exactly what is going on in the country this morning and as of today, yeah? Jana, there was, matatu strike pale. Walisema bodabodas are rogue. So they went to down their tools to...
But I didn't get it because matatus themselves, they're quite rogue.
Well,
who's worse?
Somebody said it takes a lot for somebody to be so lawless that matatus are...
Baka matatus wana complain, yenyewe ni mbaya sana.
When umezidi. And we just want to ask you, this strike between matatus and border borders, now actually who is supposed to, suffer the most? Because they're saying that they want to punish border borders, at least something ifanyike. But now mwananchi ndio walisuffer sana zaidi jana because now a lot of people were not able to, move
the update for that is that now they've decided that every Monday they'll be carrying out the protests.
Yes.
And they're blocking roads. So at least there's relief for passengers. Today, there should be matatus on the roads.
Lakini you are blocking roads wajue jana, a lot of vehicles are confiscated because of that. Now, sasa tena, that's another thing. They have to now go back,
Wow, that's a big one. But the other big one was that pronouncement by the Central Bank of Kenya with regard to Valentine's. It's quite a relief for the men. Hii pressure ati sijui utaniekea 50 bob ati bouquet yangu mimi nataka ya tao walisema hapa tumewekewa happy Valentine's.
Happy Valentine's.
Happy Valentine's.
Yes.
So the relief is that the CBK said, actually they issued a warning that this new trend of using currency notes to make bouquets. Ile unaweka hivi unafunga hivi at 1,000 na kumbe tu ni 5,000. Hiyo it is actually illegal. Many Kenyans do not know. That is illegal. There are laws in the penal code that criminalize that. And as I say, ignorance of the law is never an excuse. So for the men, kudos. No pressure. Nunua maua ile ya kawaida na ukikosa peleka ngwashe iko nini?
Even singles, kudos. At least no pressure. Juu hujapata.
All right.
Yes.
So today we're having a big interview here on Morning Cafe. We'll be having Cabinet Secretary George who is in charge of special programs, government service, public service, as well as human capital development. So there's a lot to discuss with him, and he'll be here in studio today. Do stand by for that big interview. Starting at 6:30. Later on, we are bringing in now the leaders of matatus and of course border borders. Tujue kwa nini wanapigana? What's causing, this rift between the two? Sibling rivalry. All right.
Yes.
All right, so let's take a look at the drought situation. This is a big interview, and of course we'll be having the question that we are asking this morning with regard to drought and the delivery of the public service ministry. So the question we have it, and we're asking you to interact with us online. Tell us what exactly you feel about the performance of the public service ministry. What is working and what needs urgent fixing? And we'll be getting the CS to respond directly to you.
All right.
All right, so yes, that is a big conversation. Let's take a look at the headlines this morning.
Taifa leo hatutaki mnofu wa Kindiki, huyo ni Oburu Odinga.
A lot of politics on the front pages. Again, the one-term plan, and this is a big discussion. We'll also be getting the CS to respond to this.
All right. People Daily, why Kenyan Gen Zs are missing from digital politics.
All right. So mlisema nyewe mko kwenye mitandao. IBC wants sweeping reforms ahead of 2027. You realize all the first 4 papers have to do with politics. I think it's only the Daily Nation that has changed.
Now, the Daily Nation, how 1 trillion shillings somebody debt will hit you. That's the Daily Nation.
All right. On the Business Daily, Kenya adds new twist to Coco Network's collapse. Coco was still on the front page of the Business Daily, so we'll be looking at that later on.
All right.
Yes. Tuvuke border to Uganda, where they're still talking about education.
Now, forgotten PLE scripts. They say dashed dreams and the future of 34 PLE candidates from Bamura Primary School in Koboko district has been left hanging by a thread after it was discovered that officials from the UNEB and school authorities failed to submit their final exam scripts for the integrated science subject despite the pupils having sat for the paper. They say, I cannot give you detailed rights details right now until we finalize the investigations. This is according to Wakuzabera Briga, the head teacher of Bamure Primary School. Oh wow, that's so sad. Ufanye mtihani lakini hakuna results, hakuna evidence.
I've had that problem in Kenya as well. Lakini Kenya inakuanga the problem ni ati unaenda kufika siku ya exam unaambiwa no, you were never registered.
Wow.
Yeah, yet you actually paid your head teacher to register you. Alafu anasema tu wako kuregister. Please notice that hapa chini bado kuna ile space ya congratulate President-elect Yoweri Museveni.
Has he been sworn in yet?
I don't think he's been sworn in yet. He's still president-elect, but he was president, so nothing much.
Bamuteraki leaves the loss-making Uganda Airlines. Another story then. Basically, that's the Daily Monitor.
Yes, same story on the front page of the New Vision. PLE subjects increased to 6. There's a primary level exams. Details of draft primary school curriculum out. Even in Uganda, they're changing their curriculum. Watapitia ile moto tumepitia. Kama ile BRT ya Tanzania tunangoja kukopi. Hata wakopi CBE, mutaona moto. Grading system to change. And in Kenya, we're already complaining about the grading system. Pale chini, judiciary directed on case backlog. Similar story to what is happening in Kenya. Naro starts project to revive cattle farming in Teso. Na pale juu, Museveni lawyers challenge Kasibante's document recovery bid. Remember, the reason why the president is not yet sworn in is that there's a court case before the Supreme Court of Uganda. It has to be determined, ndo aendelee. Lakini congratulations, ni kama tunajua vile kutaenda. That's Uganda.
Tukivuka boda kule Bongo, gazeti la Mwananchi, ujumbe wa haki na hekima watawala. Daktari Nchimbi anasema hapa kwamba Mwabukusi ametuasa sio vizuri kuzungumzia yaliyojiri kwa sababu yanatonesha kidonda. Hii ni siku ya sheria hapo jana mwaka 2026 kule Tanzania. Anasema kwamba nakubaliana naye kwa 100%. Pili, naongezea aliposahau sio viongozi wa serikali peke yake na viongozi wa vyama vya siasa, taasisi za kijamii na wanaharakati. Mwabukusi anasema hapa kwamba tuwaombee viongozi wetu wenye dhamana, mtu anapokuwa hana jambo muhimu sana la kuzungumza, asizungumze jambo litakalotonesha mioyo ya wananchi. Tuombe hekima kwa Mungu.
If you have nothing important to say, don't say it.
Nyamaza. Huyo ni Mwabukusi amesema. Na Speaker Zungu anasema pale kwamba namshukuru rais wa TLS, hili ni bunge la wananchi, hatuwezi kufanya kazi bila wananchi. Na kukaribisha tukitoka hapa uje ofisini kwangu nikueleze, tushirikiane, tushauriane ni namna gani ya kuboresha huduma bora za wananchi wetu. Ujumbe wa haki na hekima watawala katika siku ya sheria kule Tanzania. Bajeti ya mwaka 2026 mwaka 2027 kubana utegemezi ni habari nyingine katika ukurasa wa pili. Kiama wapigaji bima afya kwa wote pia ni habari nyingine katika ukurasa wa 3. Robo 3 kidato cha 4 waambulia alama F hisabati.
Tulisema ni sababu wanatumia Kiswahili kufunza hesabu.
Gazeti la Mwananchi.
Tukisalia kule Bongo, The Citizen, kwa sababu ya muda, Tanzania unveils record 61.9 trillion budget framework for 2026-2027. Awashaanza 61 trillion. Lakini Uganda, Tanzanian money, not Kenyan money. That is for like 10, 11, almost 12-year budgets. Uber's exit from Tanzanian market raises questions. Uber ametoka. Na finally, minister warns against fraud as universal health cover kicks off. That is The Citizen.
All right. Tuangalie hali ya anga. It's a cold morning in Nairobi na sijui kwa nini.
Mimi nashangaa mnasema kuna a cold morning. Mimi sisikii hiyo baridi.
Let's start in Kisumu. This morning it's 19 degrees, feels like 24. It's a partly cloudy day. Highs of 29 degrees and you're back to this, you know, how it looks. Precipitation today is 0.1 millimeters, very, very minimal. Hata hakuna mvua huko. So it's a hot day.
All right. Down at the coast in Mombasa, it's very warm this morning at 26 degrees. Clear skies with periodic clouds. Once again, very little precipitation. Actually, they say 0. Highs of 30 in Mombasa, and that will continue for the rest of the week.
All right. Now, to this area, this is Isiolo. 21 degrees, feels like 25. Clear skies today. Precipitation is nothing, 0. Highs of 33 degrees.
So it will get even to 34. Now, Isiolo, incidentally, is one of those affected by drought.
Yes.
And there's even violence. People are coming from other areas coming to Isiolo. Now, the pressure there, we're having a lot of communities now fighting because of drought.
All right. Muranga?
That's the Mount Kenya region in Murang'a. It's 16 degrees currently, clear skies as well, highs of 30. Tomorrow it goes up to 31 in Murang'a. Unaona kila mali ni 30, 30, 30, 30. So generally warming up. Mimi nashangaa mnasema kuna baridi.
Kitui is 18 degrees. It's a partly cloudy day today, highs of 31 degrees, yes. A very hot day in Kitui as well.
Have we seen any place that is colder than
Nairobi is
30?
cold.
Anyway, Eldoret?
Eldoret is 10 degrees this morning, clear skies today, highs of 26 degrees. So
I think this is the coolest we've seen so far. Probably we can compare to Nairobi. But even Nairobi highs of 28 degrees. Currently it's about 17 degrees, not so bad, but 28 degrees, slightly better than yesterday. Yesterday was 29.
Yes.
Yeah, so general warming up across the board.
15 minutes past 6.
Yes, traffic situation not so bad today. Naangalia mabarabara, jana kulikuwa na shida because ya ile matatu strike. Leo hakuna strike, so most roads are back to normal, but I can see a stretch up between Garden City na ile Allsops. A long stretch of yellow there. I don't know what's happening because matatus should be back. The other place pale Pangani interchange is building up nicely. Jogoo Road, a long stretch of red kutoka pale ile junction ya Buruburu all the way mpaka Likoni Road junction. Other than that, everything else is green, not so bad. Pale Fedha na Cabanas, kuna traffic pale pia.
All right, let's have the quote of the day.
Belief is a force, and like any other, once you believe something is possible, you've already completed half of the journey. Doubt only serves to hinder your progress.
Let's come back and take a look at the local dailies. Tunaanza na gazeti la Taifa Leo. Hatutaki mnofu wa Kindiki, Oburu asema. Seneta Oburu Oginga alisema katika mazungumzo ya ODM na UDA kwamba hatapigania nafasi ya mwaniaji mwenza mwaka ujao. Haya yanajiri siku moja baada ya mwenyekiti wa ODM Gavana Wanga kusema lazima ODM ipate nusu mkate. Ulisema hiyo ng'ombe
ikatwe katikati, kila mtu apewe upande yake.
Sio. Tamko la kinara wa ODM la shangaza, ikizingatiwa kuwa hapo awali alisema sharti ODM ipate unaibu rais mwaka 2027. Habari kuu hapo, vidokezo zaidi ni itasahihisha makosa yangu na Uhuru mwaka 2027, asema Rigathi, ajutia hatua yake ya kupotosha jamii mwaka 2022 kwa kuunga Ruto. Mkutano wa kisiri wa familia Jaramogi, hiyo ni nyingine iliandaliwa ama ilikuwepo Jumapili. Kero ya bodaboda yalemea serikali, matatu zikigoma jijini, habari hiyo tumezungumzia. Kule juu, kiongozi wa Iran Ayatollah aonya Amerika, asema haogopi kamwe vitisho vya Trump kuvamia nchi yake isipokubali masharti yake. Na masuala ya spoti pia, raha tupu kwa Arsenal, Man City wakiteleza.
Raha kwa Arsenal. Kileleni wamesalia pale.
Taifa Leo.
Masuala ya siasa pia za Mlima Kenya pale kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa The Standard, the one-term plan, one candidate. Now fresh details have emerged on how former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo is brokering a truce between ex-President Uhuru Kenyatta and former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua to forge a united opposition against President William Ruto next year. Multiple sources say the plan took shape at a meeting in Nigeria. We saw Uhuru Kenyatta and Kalonzo Musyoka in Nigeria. Now Obasanjo amewashika mkono at a meeting attended by Wiper leader Kalonzo, where the leaders agreed on the need for a single formidable challenger. Plans are now underway to make it happen. How does this change our politics? So these are big discussion, and you can find it on page 4 of this paper, The Standard. It also talks about Gachagua's love-hate relationship with Uhuru. But the most interesting story, and I think where Kenyans need to pay attention to, is on page 2 of this paper, of The Standard, where they talk about the drought crisis. So the state has moved to avert clashes as migrant herders pour into Isiolo. What wameambia Isiolo? So Isiolo is better. 34 degrees is actually better. Elsewhere, hunger looms in Kitui as drought tightens grip on ASAL counties, and we'll be having CS Ruku here, who's in charge of special programs which attends to drought response. Hiyo story ya NSSF wanakuja
This month.
kufieka, wanaanza hii mwezi. Hiyo story kama utuamini iko kwa ukurasa wa 5. Back page, Arsenal can now win EPL title with one eye closed. Nani amesema hivi? Alafu ameweka picha ya Pep Guardiola kama amefunga jicho moja.
Yes.
Acha maneno, wanatuchocha hawa. So Manchester City boss Guardiola says they will not surrender the title race. So that's a standard today.
All right. People really, why Kenyan Gen Zs are missing from digital politics? Invisible block, they ask. And as we head towards the 2027 elections, viral content and data-driven tactics increasingly shape campaigns more than candidates' charisma, leaving voters sidelined and confused as tech jargon reduces public participation to a box-ticking exercise. Mepotea sana. Tulikuwa tunaongelelea how digital platforms are coming to change.
And you remember back in 2024, 2025, when the Gen Zs were running X, even the president had to go there to meet them. Now what has happened, if you go through social media, especially X, it's the same old politicians who have hired bloggers. Now they're the only ones running the streets of Twitter.
To push the agenda.
Incidentally, they're the ones who suggested that Fred Matiang'i, the Gen Zs, that Fred Matiang'i was a possible presidential candidate. Sai yuko, hawa wako.
Together with Maraga. Anyway, inside, Matiang'i receives wild reception in Mount Kenya Toys, another story on page 8, while Ruto allies are quitting ahead of next polls. Some are quitting, some are joining.
Akina Eludo Walo.
Interesting. Somebody, okay. Let me not say
Sema tu. Maswala ya siasa bado tunaendelea. Remember, today being a Tuesday, the star is not for sale. So they talk about the IEBC wanting sweeping reforms ahead of 2027. Yes, the IEBC has come under a lot of pressure. They're now seeking clearer definitions on nominations, revised timelines for processes. So they wrote to Parliament seeking adjustments and amendments to some of the Elections Acts or provisions of the elections laws to help them even have a bite. They can actually punish aspirants who go against the law. Because so far, no one bothered. I can do anything, na kuna mali IEBC tanipeleka. Very interesting is this story here about the Odinga family tree. After that meeting of the family, so they've painted here a picture of Odinga's house of fiery, free-spirited thinkers. So Jaramogi Oginga Odinga with all his 4 wives and their children there. I think Mary Ajuma, that's why Raila was called Ward Mary. Yeah. That's why that's the most famous, the Mary Ajuma lineage of Oburu Oginga, Raila Odinga, Gola Odinga, Wenwa Akinyi, Berry Lachengo passed on, and wengine mpaka Ruth Odinga. I think they're the most famous, including the family of Raila Odinga there. The rest are quite not so visible, but that's the Jaramogi family tree. Counties bleed billions as top officials flout procurement laws. That's another story. And struggling coast-based Bandari FC Mata Sports plotting revival. Pale juu, mambo ya Nairobi sex workers wamejipata pale.
Special feature.
Special feature on page 9 of this paper. Remember that being a free copy of the Star, it comes with the complimentary MyGov pullout for government tenders and job opportunities. Fresh, independent, different.
Now, how 1 trillion shilling body debt will hit you? The government projects to borrow 1 trillion shilling from the local market, which is nearly the entire 1.1 trillion shillings budget deficit for the 2026 and 2027 financial year. This is bad news for the private sector since businesses whose pool of financiers is shrinking fast will struggle even more to secure creditors. Most lenders, including commercial banks, opt to loan the government with an eye on guaranteed repayment and higher consistent returns. Kenya's loans burden has risen to over 12 trillion shillings and higher than the recommended ceiling. Domestic lending to government doubled from 8.6% to 16.4%. 16.4%. That's credit to small businesses reduced from 7.9% to 0.2%. That's a blow to small businesses as well. They say after 24 years in power, Daniel Moi left in December 2002 when total public debt was approximately 630 billion. And then Kibaki came in. Public debt was about 1.8 trillion shillings by March 2013 when he left. And then now President Uhuru Kenyatta retired, came in. It went up to 8.7 trillion shillings. And now we are at 12 trillion shillings.
And counting.
And counting.
Tunaendelea.
Interesting country, this one. All right, that's a story on page 4 and 5. Interesting one there. Other quick headlines. CBE, the bold dream that turned into a nightmare. They say when the government unveiled the new education curriculum, it was billed as a bold departure from rote learning to a learner-centered revolution to nurture skills, creativity, and critical thinking. An end to the high-stakes exam-oriented 844 regime until cracks emerged. This story is on page 7. This newspaper last week reported that there was a report that said approximately 6th grade cannot read, cannot comprehend English.
Yeah, grade 3.
Grade 3.
Yes.
That is 6th grade pupils cannot comprehend grade 3 English. Wow, CBE. Your job is safe. Oburi tells Kindiki over power sharing talks is another story on page 12. State sued over chaotic border rain amid matatu strike. That's another story on the inside pages, page 3. On the back page, Nairobi United teen Jewel Duncan Omala now dreaming of Harambee Stars call. This is CAF Confederation Cup. Kenyan side mathematically out of the running for quarter sport after loss in Zanzibar. This is a 19-year-old anaitwa Jewel Duncan Omala.
All right. That's the Daily Nation. Let's move on to Business Daily, where they still talk about Coco Networks. So Kenya adds new twist to Coco Networks collapse. David Ndii ameongea and I question veracity of carbon credits. So Kenya has cast doubt on the authenticity of the carbon credits generated by Coco Networks after the World Bank-backed clean cooking startup blamed the government for its collapse. So the value of the Migazi insurance for Coco Networks investment is about 23.1 billion. After they exited the Kenyan market, they are now demanding compensation for that. It will cost the taxpayer some money. Even the Business Daily noted how businesses were affected yesterday by that matatu strike, and that's why they've reserved some space on the front page on, with a picture of a matatu being impounded after closing the road. Commuters' pain as matatu operators strike. We'll be having that conversation at 8 this morning to understand how everything is flowing. How Trump triggered fall of gold prices at NSC. Interesting. Matters Securities Exchange, and on the ticker, electricity overtakes milk, eggs as Kenya's top import from Uganda. Yeah? So electricity is now among Kenya's top imports from Uganda, overtaking traditional foods such as milk, eggs, grains, and timber by value. Najua mayai mingi tunakula huku tunatoa Uganda.
Wow.
Hata mayai hatuna. Hata maziwa.
Wow.
Tuna shida. Hata stima.
Walashaanza kututusi wamesema wana place zinakaa vibaya. I saw that conversation.
It's our too. Anyway, just a reminder that this morning we'll be hosting none other than Geoffrey Ruku, who's a CS Public Service, Human Capital Development and Special Programs of the Government of Kenya. We'll be talking about so many things, including the drought situation, the politics within UDA, the plan for the ODM UDA coalition, as well as Mount Kenya politics. He's been one of the most vocal CSs in as far as politics is concerned. And when it comes to that attack at a church in Wetima, alisema hiyo ni stage managed. Yeah, so he'll be telling us more about that in a few minutes' time.
All right, tangali caricature.
Wachoraji wanatuambia nini?
We start off with the star. There are two people here. Na viti ni tatu. Kuna chungwa pale, imekatwa nusu. Kuna party leader ODM hapa, Oburu Odinga. And of course, there's a deputy president here. Really, we don't want your seat. This is Oburu Odinga.
Lakini amemkaribia sana. Anasema tutaki.
Na mguu ni kama?
Should that guy be relieved? Sababu walisema wataki hiyo kiti.
Unaona nikaa nasonga pia.
Jamaa amesonga sana. Amekaribia huko.
Yes, he should be relieved.
ODM politics still featuring on the cartoon here. This is a People Daily Star, no stake. And ODM here has been caricatured as a marionette. Unajua ile unakuwa strings. I think they're quoting the deputy party leader, anaitwa Geoffrey Osotsi, mwenye alisema now for ODM, all the directions on what to say and what to do are coming from State House. So you can see the party is being controlled. Alafu anasema, I speak my mind. Your mind in State House.
This is, now that, tulianza na? That was the Daily Nation. This is the Star now. As a united opposition will need certain assurances. Kuna watu hapa, wako wengi, kuna mmoja ameshika vichwa vya wote. That is Matiang'i. Ameshika vichwa vya opposition leaders, notable opposition leaders here. But there's the IG here as well. And as a united opposition will need certain assurances that they are protected.
From the IG and the IEBC, ahead of 2027. Huyo IG mbona anakaa ameboeka na waangalia ile. Tawasaidia namna gani?
Santa do. That's the Star.
And finally, the Standard, and Harry always has a very interesting take now is about the New World Order. This is Trump. Amechorwa, ameshika ndege ile Eagle, US Armed Forces on one hand. Amepick Maduro, ule wako Venezuela, hajaye amini alikuwa picked from his state house just like that. And Trump says we shall restore the world order, my friend. Umeona hiyo story ya Iran wanasema kujeni, si amtutishi. Amtutishi.
Unajua one thing about Trump, akiambiwa kuja anaenda.
Anakuja eh.
All right. Now, that conversation about matatus versus boda boda. Where is the bad blood? Kevin Mubadi, National Chair, Boda Boda Safety Association of Kenya, and Alex Kulema, that is the National Executive Head, Kenya Boda Boda Association, will be here for this conversation. Utuambie shida iko wapi, kwa nini hawaambiliki?
All right. And I'm sure we've been asking a question on this discussion as well. So it would be nice to have that question now so that by the time the conversation begins, at least we do have some feedback.
Anasema, what is the problem? Is it competition? Is it lawlessness? Is it failure to regulate?
As citizens, how would you rate the Ministry of Public Service under CS Ruku? What is working and what needs urgent fixing? We'll be posing this question to the CS once he gets here, and we'll be sampling some of your feedback before our first break. You are also to ask about the Matatu strike.
Yes.
I don't know if we've asked that question yet, so that members of the public can actually contribute. It's not just the boda boda and the Matatu operators.
Right.
How does it affect
Mwananchi.
the normal Mwananchi?
The economy at large.
Yes.
All right. So the question, actually, I've already told you, is it a competition? Is it lawlessness? Is it failure to regulate? That is the question you're asking you on Facebook at TV47 Kenya, on YouTube at TV47 Kenya as well. I'm trying to get your feedback. On X at TV47 Digital. And kama kawaida, you can always tag us. My handle is at Ann_Odida. The hashtag is Morning Cafe TV47.
My handle on X is at Fred Indimuli. Will be sampling your feedback after the break.
All right.
No more excuses. It's time to rise, grind, and own your mornings. Join Coach Shadrach Oma every Monday to Friday from 5:30 to 6 a.m. Only on TV47. Full body workouts, zero equipment, maximum results. Start strong, stay strong. TV47 Fitness with Coach Shadrach. Only on TV47. Looking for the perfect way to kick off your weekend?
Pole. Hiyo ni salamu ya Mluya kabisa.
Tune in to Friday with Betty, the most exciting show on TV.
Betty, one tear gas. Betty, I don't know where this guy's going.
Walikutoka.
From the latest news and trends to unforgettable moments.
Mimi si hiyo naona nakubali.
Wewe ni simpa.
Friday with Betty is your go-to show for a fabulous Friday night.
Theological, meteorologist. What is that word, Willis?
Tune in this and every Friday at 9 p.m. and let's make your Fridays unforgettable. Only on TV47.
This is Kenya's #1 talk show, Dr. Frederick tonight. My name is the Eagle himself. Dr. Frederick is my name.
We are flipping the script, but guess what? Or should I say, guess who is taking over tonight's show?
Ani wewe furahia umekaa na kasipuni. CP unit ni
Punet. So you guys knew about
Piga.
Sawa basi. Nasema, that gave you the whole time.
I don't want to go back to brokenness.
Never.
I just love the high life. Siwezi taka kuimagine ati nimesota.
You have to watch to find out. Tune in every Wednesday from 7:30 p.m. Enjoy uninterrupted live streaming of your favorite programs on TV 47 and Radio 47 on the go with our new mobile-friendly website. Experience the future of broadcasting. Visit www.tv47.digital or scan this QR code and stream your way to endless news and entertainment. Welcome to the home of untold stories.
Next time you need fresh lemon juice, microwave a lemon for 7 to 10 seconds. Then roll the lemon back and forth under your palm on the counter. When you squeeze, you'll get more juice from the lemon with way less effort.
Start your day with Relationship Wednesday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. with Ann Odida. Dive deep into the dynamics of love, friendship, and family as we explore the stories that shape our connections. Then satisfy your appetite with Tasty Wednesday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. where Anne serves up delicious recipes, cooking tips, and the latest food trends to inspire your next meal. Relationship Wednesday and Tasty Wednesday every Wednesday 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. only on Morning Cafe.
Your nose alone won't always tell you if your eggs have gone bad. To find out, gently place uncooked eggs in a bowl of cold water. If an egg sinks to the bottom, it's A-OK. If it floats, it's seen better days.
No more excuses. It's time to rise, grind, and own your mornings. Join Coach Shadrach Omer every Monday to Friday from 5:30 to 6 a.m. only on TV 47. Full body workouts, zero equipment, maximum results. Start strong, stay strong. TV 47 Fitness with Coach Shadrach only on TV 47.
All right. Good morning once again and welcome back. You're watching Morning Cafe. Time for us to take a look at some news updates. The government is now proposing a tax relief for Kenyans earning 30,000 shillings and below in a bid to ease the financial burden on salaried workers. Linda Lela reports on a move that Treasury CS John Buddy says will also target those earning 50,000 shillings.
The National Treasury says the move will leave more disposable income in the hands of employees earning below 30,000 Kenya shillings a month, helping to boost consumer spending amid rising living costs. Treasury CS John Badi says the government aims at saving Kenyans earning 30,000 Kenya shillings from taxes, adding to those already earning 24,000 Kenyan shillings in the bracket.
1.5 million Kenyans are earning 30,000 shillings and below. 30,000. So we have said government should come for my money and leave the person who is earning 30,000 alone. So any Kenyan, if this law, and I'm sure, I don't think there is any mad MPs in parliament who will oppose that.
This move aims to reach at least 1.5 million Kenyans who earn less than 30,000 Kenyan shillings from more than 3 million salaried Kenyans. The government also aims to reduce the tax for Kenyans earning 50,000 Kenyan shillings from the current 30% to 25%. If the proposal goes through Parliament, this means Kenyans earning 50,000 Kenya shillings will be taxed for the Kenya shillings 20,000 at 25%. More than 1.5 million Kenyans are targeted in this plan, earning less than 30,000 Kenyan shillings, and another 244,000 earning about 30,000 Kenyan shillings and 50,000 Kenyan shillings. Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Badi announced the plan on Monday at the Budget and Privatization Public Engagement Forum held at Meru National Polytechnic. Badi says the government will also target those who have not been paying taxes. For TV47, I'm Linda Alela.
Now, the county government of Bungoma has been put to task over the use of 3.68 million shillings to light a Christmas tree in 2019. Governor Ken Lusaka was grilled by the Senate's Public Accounts Committee over the expenditure. Governor Lusaka, however, says the misuse happened during the tenure of his predecessor, Wycliffe Wangamati. The county government of Bungoma is not new to such controversies after it was previously accused of spending 100,000 shillings on a wheelbarrow. The county government has also been on the spot for purchasing water cans, which allegedly cost 10,000 shillings each.
Using 3.6 million for Christmas tree celebration in September, and the money remains unaccounted for. You see, that's the worst thing.
You will see that that interest is being taken on the 9th of September. A whole 3 months before Christmas.
Or maybe Bungoma has a unique way of celebrating Christmas.
It was a very ceremonial function where people had Christmas hats and with some good tents, and they were jumping like nursery school children.
Just for the record, because I know media will say I am the one who has done that. It is 2019. Please, Chair, I also need protection. Because what is going
to... No, you are not under any threat, Governor.
Because, you know, you are dressing like, you know, it's me.
This is a matter that is unethical. This is a matter that must be escalated to the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. I know they're around, and this is a matter that we must mark to them, because it cannot be acceptable.
Some politics now. ODM party leader Oburu Oginga has moved to cool political temperatures, assuring Deputy President Kithure Kindiki that the Orange Democratic Movement is not seeking to take over his position. Speaking in Kisumu on Monday, Oburu said ODM's engagement with the president's government is about negotiating its rightful place and not targeting individual offices. Our reporter Mike Kagongo with the details.
Oburu Oginga's remarks come amid heightened political debate over ODM's role in government and a growing speculation about power-sharing arrangements ahead of the 2027 elections. Addressing leaders during the Nyota program event in Kisumu presided over by President William Ruto, Oburu dismissed claims that the Orange Party is eyeing the deputy president seat.
Lakini deputy president, usifikiria ya kwamba tunataka kiti yako, tunataka kukufukuza. Please, you are our friend, but as we negotiate, we are going to negotiate what our people deserve.
Section of ODM leaders have been insisting that the party will not settle for less if it will be on the table with the ruling UDA party. ODM is allegedly demanding a 50-50 power sharing.
Our party is not a Jaluo party. It is a party for the whole of Kenya.
Oburu said ODM is only seeking to negotiate for what it deserves, arguing that any engagement with the Kenya Kwanza administration must reflect the party's political strength and support base.
Hatutaki tribalists kuongeza nchi yetu.
As you look forward towards the implementation of the 10-point agenda and all the other programs that you had agreed with the ODM through the leadership of the late Prime Minister Raila Odinga.
But Oburu maintained that ODM's approach is guided by national interest, insisting that stability and cooperation remain key as the country navigates economic and governance challenges. Oburu Oginga's resurgence now places ODM's engagement with government squarely on negotiation and not confrontation as political realignments continue to take shape. Mike Kagwango, TV 47, Nairobi.
Kenya's clinical officers have finally brought the nation's health sector back from the brink after more than 40 days of industrial action, after signing a collective bargaining agreement with the Council of Governors. The signing that was held at the Council of Governors' offices marks the end of years of stalled negotiations and repeated strikes, ushering a new era of hope for patients and health workers. Both the union and county leaders have pledged to continue detailed discussions to maintain peace, strengthen collaboration, and ensure smooth delivery of healthcare services nationwide. Officials described the agreement as more than just a conclusion to a long-standing dispute.
This journey has spanned 8 years and has been characterized by protracted negotiation and several episodes of industrial action.
Turn to work formula was one, the enhancement of risk allowance for the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers, that the county's governors agreed the proposition from 3,000 to 5,000. As a result of that, before it was concluded, the Council of Governors and the negotiation team sought authority from SRC, which authority was granted on the 23rd of December, that we could proceed with the 5,000 that was approved by SRC.
Must remember this day, it has been 8 years. And as they come, I really want to thank you, and especially the CEO, the deadlocks, the stalemates. And as I say that, let me also say that if we have hurt anyone in this process, naomba mtusamehe.
Public transport resumed yesterday afternoon in Nairobi. This as confusion of a planned matatu strike left major roads in chaos yesterday morning. While some operators returned to ferry passengers, others went ahead with the strike, citing rising attacks on their vehicles and crews. Meanwhile, matatu owners have vowed to strike every Monday until their grievances are heard. Sheila Chalangat reports.
Matatu operators had warned of a Monday shutdown, citing rising attacks on their vehicles and crews, particularly by border operators.
The matatu which was burnt a week ago, it was burnt on Juja Road. There is no statement from the police. Nobody has been arrested as today. The personal vehicle which was burnt in Kimbo last month. So nothing has been done.
And despite a statement by a faction of transport leaders that the strike had been suspended in Nairobi, parts of Thika Road, Outer Ring Road, Waiyaki Way and sections of the Central Business District were at a standstill.
So mtu akichoma gari kama hii matatu, hii 33 sita. Hiyo gari 33 sita imebeba nduthi ngapi hapo?
Police were forced to intervene, deploying officers to clear blocked roads, manage traffic, and in some cases, remove number plates from vehicles accused of obstructing movement.
Murkomen, Stop doing the TikToks. Let's address this issue. This thing, the next thing that we are going to see, passengers, a driver of a vehicle burnt in the vehicle.
In other parts of the country, like the Kitengela, Isinya, Kajiado, Namanga route, matatus defied the nationwide strike, carrying on with normal operations. Matatu owners, however, have vowed to strike every other Monday until the government addresses their grievances.
Next Monday, if there is no negotiation, we will still be on the road until we are listened to.
The matatu owners claim that more than 20 matatus have been torched across the country and now seek for stricter regulation of boda accused of flouting traffic rules. Sheila Chelangat for TV 47.
Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen has vowed decisive action following a recent banditry attack in Kainuk, bordering Turkana and West Pokot counties. After touring the areas, Murkomen said the government has made a significant progress restoring peace and normalcy across much of the Kerio Valley region. However, he noted that some areas still require intensified efforts to eliminate banditry and criminal networks threatening stability. The CS has announced that a comprehensive security operation will be rolled out in Kainuk, including disarmament of illegal firearms and the arrest of perpetrators and their sponsors.
And this is an exercise we are doing in the next few months. The security teams have been putting together the necessary equipment, and the officers are being assembled, and they're undergoing some training, and the operations will start soon. Some of these criminals have the support of some business people, some political actors, and those are the ones who are supplying ammunitions, inciting violence, and they are on both sides of the two counties. I know there will be very fast politicians who will make some noise. We know them. They have profiled them. We know their agents, and we know those who are buying ammunition and so forth. We are coming for you, and I want to tell you that it will be very, very painful.
Now, the family of a 32-year-old Charles Muturi is grieving after he died in the Russia-Ukraine war under circumstances that left his family devastated. TV47's Mudhoni Brenda visited the family in Kamulu and filed this report.
This post trending across social media traveled all the way to Kamulu, tearing open a mother's already broken heart.
Post yenyewe ilikuwa inasema ati picha ya huyu mwenye mnaona hapa kwa picha ni Mkenya, alikufia kwa vita Russia. Sasa mujaribu kusambaza kwa mitandao muone vile inaweza kufikia watu wao.
But long before Kenyans were confronted with that shocking post, the heart of Charles Muturi's mother had been broken since September of last year, when her son left home seeking a better life abroad.
Alinipigia simu akaniambia, "Mom, nimepata kazi nje." Wapi? Nimepata job Russia.
Charles told his mother that a prayerful woman had connected him with a plant operating job in Russia and that the process to secure his travel documents was already underway.
Akaniambia, wacha nikuja nifanye process ya good conduct itoke haraka. In a span of like 1 week, akanipigia simu. Akaniambia, visa yangu imetoka, nimetumiwa visa sahihi. Na flight yangu ni ya Thursday.
On that Thursday morning, Charles traveled to his mother's home in Kamulu. After exchanging well wishes, the family set out together for Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, hopeful for the opportunities that lay ahead. Little did they know that this was the last time they would see Charles alive.
Tukiwa hapo, a certain lady came. Akakuja akatusalimia na akasimama kando na sisi. Akaita Charles. Walienda wakanongonezana, sijui waliongea nini. Ikafika wakati wa kucheck in. Akaingia. Hapa alimuita kando. I came to run late ati ni pesa alikuwa amekujia.
Excited and trusting, the family even offered the unknown woman a lift to Nairobi Central Business District. Along the way, she spoke of how Russia would offer Charles a bright future. She promised he would be able to visit home, go on vacations, and even travel to major tourist destinations. But a week of Charles being in Russia, and the mother started to worry.
Nikampigia simu jioni. Nikamwambia Sharo, hebu niambie ukweli. Akaniambia mama. Wakati nilifika hapa, nilikuja nikakuta sifanyi ile kazi nilikuja kufanya. Nilikuja nikalazimishwa kusign contract imeandikwa na Kirashia na nikaigizwa kwa training. Akaniambia as we speak, mimi niko training ya jeshi.
In December, Charles made a distressing call to his mother, informing her that he was being sent to the war front.
Kilio ilipoanza hapo mpaka leo hii alikuwa analia kila siku.
After 2 months of waiting and searching, the heart-wrenching truth came on Saturday when a Facebook post detailing Charles' death went viral.
It was confirmed to the family na mtu mwingine yako huko. Okay, aliniambia tulienda war front na Charles. Charles ndiye alikuwa ametangulia. Akakanyanga landmine. Yeye ilimlipua.
With no body to bury and no closure, the family is preparing to hold a requiem mass to honor Charles' memory, finding solace in prayer amid their grief.
Ile kitu nimebaki nayo. Picha ndio itanipatia memory.
On Thursday, 6 November 2025, President William Ruto spoke with Ukraine's president about the issue of young Kenyans being illegally recruited into the Russia-Ukraine war. During that phone call, they discussed the alleged recruitment of Kenyans and agreed to raise awareness of the dangers and work towards the release of any Kenyan citizens in the Ukrainian custody. Muthoni Brenda, for TV 47.
Very sad news there. And that's where we take a break now. Morning Cafe will be right back where we take a look at the headlines this morning. We'll be joined by Fwamba NC Fwamba, who's a political commentator. Do stand by for that.
No more excuses. It's time to rise, grind, and own your mornings. Join Coach Shadrach Omer every Monday to Friday from 5:30 to 6 a.m. only on TV 47. Full body workouts, zero equipment, maximum results. Start strong, stay strong. TV 47 Fitness with Coach Shadrach only on TV 47. Looking for the perfect way to kick off your weekend?
Pole. Hiyo ni salamu ya Mluya kabisa.
Tune in to Friday with Betty, the most exciting show on TV.
Betty, one tiaga. Betty, I don't know where this guy's going.
From the latest news and trends to unforgettable moments.
Wewe ni simpa.
Friday with Betty is your go-to show for a fabulous Friday night.
Meteorologist. What is that word, Willis?
Tune in this and every Friday at 9 p.m. and let's make your Fridays unforgettable. Only on TV 47.
This is Kenya's #1 talk show, Dr. Farika tonight. My name is the Eagle himself. Dr. Farika is my name.
We are flipping the script, but guess what? Or should I say, guess who is taking over tonight's show?
Anyway, furahia umekaa na kasipuni. CP unit ni Punet. You guys knew about it. Big. Sawa basi. Sema, hata ungevi the whole time.
I don't want to go back to brokenness.
Never.
I just love the high life. Siwezi taka kuimagine ati nimesoka.
You have to watch to find out. Tune in every Wednesday from 7:30 p.m. Enjoy uninterrupted live streaming of your favorite programs on TV 47 and Radio 47 on the go with our new mobile-friendly website. Experience the future of broadcasting. Visit www.tv47.digital or scan this QR code and stream your way to endless news and entertainment. Welcome to the home of untold stories.
Next time you need fresh lemon juice, microwave a lemon for 7 to 10 seconds. Then, roll the lemon back and forth under your palm on the counter. When you squeeze, you'll get more juice from the lemon with way less effort.
Start your day with Relationship Wednesday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. with Ann Odida. Dive deep into the dynamics of love, friendship, and family as we explore the stories that shape our connections. Then satisfy your appetite with Tasty Wednesday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. where Anne serves up delicious recipes, cooking tips, and the latest food trends to inspire your next meal. Relationship Wednesday and Tasty Wednesday every Wednesday 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. only on Morning Cafe.
Your nose alone won't always tell you if your eggs have gone bad. To find out, gently place uncooked eggs in a bowl of cold water. If an egg sinks to the bottom, it's A-OK. If it floats, it's seen better days.
No more excuses. It's time to rise, grind, and own your mornings. Join Coach Shadrach Omer every Monday to Friday from 5:30 to 6 a.m. only on TV 47. Full body workouts, zero equipment, maximum results. Start strong, stay strong. TV 47 Fitness with Coach Shadrach only on TV 47.
Right, welcome back. You're watching Morning Cafe on TV 47 with me, Fred Indemuli. Time for us to take a look at the dailies today. A lot of politics on most of our front pages. Kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa Taifa Leo, habari kuu anasema hatutaki mnofu wa Kindiki. Oburu anasema Seneta Oburu Oginga amesema katika mazungumzo ya ODM na UDA hatapigania nafasi ya mwaniaji mwenza mwaka 2027. Hayo yanajiri siku moja baada ya mwenyekiti wa ODM Gavana Wanga kusema lazima ODM ipate nusu mkate. Ni habari kuu kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa Taifa Leo, and probably if at all something could be lost in the language or in the translation, that story is also on page 12 of the Daily Nation. Your job is safe, Oburu tells Kindiki over power sharing talks. ODM leader Oburu Oginga says ODM UDA pre-election coalition talks will focus on fair and balanced sharing out of government positions. And that coming only hours after the ODM chairperson, Governor Wanga of Homa Bay, said that, and I quote her words, "Hiyo ng'ombe ikatwe katikati, kila mtu apate upande yake." We're now joined by Fwamba. NC Fwamba was a political commentator via phone link. Good morning, Fwamba. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, Fred.
Yes, now, where does this leave us? Now, there's a lot of confusion. Listening to the chairperson, Gladys Wanga, then listening to the party leader, Oburu Oginga, who had earlier said that they would go for nothing less than the running mate position.
They say that a young man standing on the top of a tree will not see as far as an old man sitting on a stool. And I think that's the wisdom of the old man, Dr. Oburu Odinga, because he has settled a lot of speculation that has been raised since the passing on of Right Honorable Raila Odinga. And therefore, he is expressing that the ODM is joining Kenya Kwanza with good intentions in the name of trying to make the country better than what it is, instead of getting into antagonize in the name of being greedy for power. So that makes President Ruto's arrangement towards 2027 more clearer and more organized without any bottlenecks like it was speculated previously, when people were making assumptions that the ODM had made arguments that they wanted to get the deputy president or nothing less. So that makes a lot of things work out now.
But when you say it is now clearer, that clarity is what we're missing, because now listening to the chairperson, Gladys Wanga, she says something totally different. And I think even on the front page of the Taifa Leo, they're talking about nusu mkate. Is it clear?
Of course, the party leader and the person who is speaking on behalf of ODM, the way Raila Odinga used to speak, is Dr. Oburu Odinga. And even when they were having conversations in Kisumu with the people of Kondele, the rally that was very well attended, that was very well mobilized, and the president received a very good welcome, the general agreement was that Dr. Oburu Odinga was the one who was going to lead the negotiations between ODM and UDA. Therefore, it's assumed that in every political setup, there are democratic voices. Of course, ODM is a democratic party. So I assume that everybody has a right to speak whatever they think or whatever the suggestions they may have, but ultimately the person who is in charge of their negotiations and the person in charge of the ODM house right now is Dr. Oburu Odinga. So whatever he says is what will count more than any opinion of any other leader within that structure.
Yet the general sentiment is that Oburu Oginga rarely speaks, and most of the time has to be influenced by other leaders, high-ranking party leaders. The chairperson of the party being one of them. Should we really ignore what Gladys Wanga is saying?
We cannot ignore, but again, out of all these people, Oburu Odinga is the most experienced politician, and his wisdom is informed by more involvement in terms of consultations, as opposed to any other individual in that leadership structure. For, of course, again, in politics, people have to make their claims. For example, at the end of the day, we will see so many people wanting to be ambitious. For example, if you want to be the president in 2032, you are best placed to be a running mate in the coming election. You even heard Honorable Musalia Mudavadi saying that he wants to run for president in 2032, and therefore he literally wants to be the running mate. But for the interest of the country and the stability of the current government, it is in the best interest of everyone that the status quo is maintained. That's why Professor Kindiki, working under Dr. William Ruto as the deputy president, remains the best arrangement that the country has right now. And, you know, since positions cannot be occupied by many people at the same time, we might be ambitious, all of us, but one position cannot be occupied by one person at a time. And if you remove Professor Kindiki in that position in 2027, in my opinion, I think it becomes tricky because people who claim to want to be the deputy president will be so many. And that would be a Pandora's box of that has a chance of even interfering with the whole arrangements of the coalition towards 2027.
Don't you think it's already a problem?
Current arrangement and as the device, of course, even within the arrangement of the ODM, UDA, and even the whole government, I think Oburu Odinga right now is the oldest political leader in the country. And apart from the position he holds in ODM, the wisdom of an elder can never be taken for granted. Not necessarily just in Nyanza or in ODM alone, but as a country. So his opinion counts a lot as far as the political experience and the futuristic projections of the country are concerned based on past experiences.
Some of these decisions that the party, and I'm talking about ODM, has made have left many members wondering what next. A party that has fielded a presidential candidate for the last 4 or 5 elections without fail, now will go into this election without a presidential candidate or even a possibility of a running mate. Where does that leave ODM and its DNA as a party that has always run for president, if at all they don't insist on at least the position of number 2?
Remember that we were saying that ODM was more of ODM similar to Raila, and Raila synonymous with ODM. That was the case. And for the last 20 years, it has only had one leader. And therefore, without this kind of arrangement, there was a possibility that ODM was going to have a very serious political vacuum in terms of leadership, quite for some time before it stabilizes. So the sole presidential candidate would have had some command or would have had some control even with an opportunity to win was Right Honorable Raila Odinga. The remaining leaders are good, they're emerging, they are strong, they are persuasive and convincing. But it will take some time before any of the ODM leaders emerges from the ranks to be at the national level, especially in pursuit of presidential leadership. And for now, the advantage they have is that President Ruto, just like someone who adopts an orphan, has adopted the ODM orphans. And they're now working together, are accommodated. Therefore, it is more advantageous for them to work under President William Ruto as they continue stabilizing or reviving their party for a possible futuristic comeback. But as for now, like in most cases, and as we said before, most of the political parties that get out of power or the political parties whose leadership gets out of the political space through natural attrition, automatically these parties do not survive for long. You remember when Kanu left power in 2002, even when Uhuru tried to revive it, was unable, and eventually it got where it is today.
All right.
It would be unfair to say it's dead, but technically Kanu does not have any authority right now in the political space. You look at NAC, the same thing. When Kibaki abandoned it, it was the same case. So ODM without leadership that is being accommodating, like the way President Ruto has accommodated them, cannot on its own present a presidential candidate who can be of consequence as far as the national politics.
But how does a party of ODM stature survive without a principal, if at all probably is just a mere cabinet member? Let me not say mere, but a cabinet member, because they're talking about positions within government. So if at all 2, 3 of them, or 4 or 6 are given cabinet positions, they might appear to be on the same rank, and none will stand out. Probably a position of a deputy president or a running mate position or president would be able to offer leadership to the ODM party. Don't you see that there is a risk that ODM, without a proper principle, might lose its DNA and eventually be swallowed by other parties?
Going forward, it's obvious that since they have crafted a working relationship with UDA, which is in power right now, the whole essence of any political formation is to be in power. And they can be in power through any other name. Like if the coalition be UDA, ODM coalition, or whatever, like remember in 2022, they were talking about Kenya Kwanza coalition. If another coalition of whatever nature comes up that incorporates UDA and ODM or maybe other parties, they'll be accommodated. So being in power is much greater than just a name that is empty. Remember, we have about over 90 political parties in Kenya now, and how many are they? How many are known in the first place?
Are you saying this is the beginning of the end of ODM, that losing out on that name?
ODM has that advantage of having been around for some time. And with the demise of Right Honorable Raila Odinga, without being involved in power negotiations, it will have become extinct. But again, in terms of political negotiations, you have to have a balancing equation.
Could we be overreading?
You cannot get into an antagonistic arrangement if you want to get into power in a stable manner.
All right. Could we be overreading or misreading some of the comments by Oburu Oginga? Because yes, he said they are not going after Kindiki's position, but he also says they'll negotiate not to take anyone's share, but to ensure that everyone gets a fair portion of the national cake. What would you term as fair? If at all ODM is coming, and UDA to some extent depends on ODM for its success next year.
I think that's a genuine expression of the sentiments by Dr. Oburu Odinga, because you see, when President Ruto will be campaigning in 2027, he'll be looking for votes from all parts of the country. And that is why his mantra of saying that they want to unite the country is not supposed to be exclusive. You don't get one person or one part of the country at the expense of the other. Remember, he has, the other time when he was in Nyeri, he talked to the Mount Kenya people and said that those are his friends. They supported him in 2022 and still wants to work with them. And if you look at the appointments that have been going, even renewal of contracts of some of the people in the parastatals, the PSS, the CSS, the numbers have never reduced of the people in Mount Kenya. While he even accommodated the people from Nyanza and other parts of the country, he still maintained those numbers. And that's why he's working according to the principles of good governance and national values as articulated in Article 10 of the Constitution of Kenya.
Do you see that sustaining?
Inclusivity is key, and including other people or bringing more people on board.
Do you see that sustaining?
In terms of political inclusion does not necessarily mean that we exclude others or take away positions of people who already
ODM is coming into this coalition as an equal member. Do you see the current status quo sustaining, where you say that even people from Mount Kenya region have generally maintained the kind of positions they had before? Do you see that sustaining even after this ODM-UDA coalition?
I think the voters are very different from the leaders. You see, generally, most of the leaders who are trying to get an impression that the president has severe ties with some regions in this country are doing that for selfish reasons. There are people who have been sacked from government. You look at people who are impeached like Rigathi Gachagua. Those are the people who are advancing that gospel. But the reality of the people in terms of involvement in government, even in terms of projects being carried out by the government, the projects are being carried out fairly in all parts of the country. And the bitterness of a few individuals should not be mistaken to represent the sentiments of the people at the grassroots. Kenyan voters are very wise people, and ultimately they make decisions on the basis of the things they see, as opposed to the bitterness of certain politicians. All
right, and talking about bitterness, because there's been also quite some bitter sentiments from Luo Nyanza over the past few months or years that development projects have been skewed to favor other places and leave them out. Don't you think that bitterness will play out within this coalition building period?
I think President William Ruto is a unifying figure, and so far he has put in place a lot of efforts towards that direction. And for that reason, I'm very sure that most of the people who will identify with the UDA-led coalition will, of course, feel part and parcel of the government. And therefore, the bitterness, the political bitterness will only remain in the hands of a few pockets of resistance, like those ones that I just mentioned.
But Fwamba, speaking of UDA, we saw that meeting at State House earlier last week, and people came out and expressed some serious concerns about the space that will be left for them within the UDA or Kenya Kwanza affiliated parties, especially after ODM comes in. Because ODM looks like they really keen on biting a huge chunk of this deal.
Yeah, of course, everyone who comes in has to negotiate. I heard Senator Mungatana's concerns when he talked of the prodigal son and the one who remained at home. Of course, those concerns are always there, that even if you adopted a new child in the homestead, some of the children in the home will think that this person is going to take their food. But President Ruto,
Don't you think that's a real concern?
Of assurance, he says that the government has enough space for everyone and it's able to accommodate all interests in the best manner possible.
Did the president really answer that question? Because in his response to Senator Mungatana, the one you've just quoted, he said that UDA will still retain the presidency. Is that enough to convince people who are seeking re-election and seeking their own positions within broader administration to counter the kind of concerns that are there?
Of course, like I mentioned before, we are in a democracy, and democracy is all about a balancing act. Remember, in the last elections, the way UDA managed their elections, they involved everybody in the democratic process, nominations, and ultimately, people who got positions were supported by those ones who had lost. And interestingly, I have seen certain people, like you saw in Nyeri, for example. If you look at Kenny constituency, there was a member of parliament who was competing with 3 other strong candidates. One was made PS. Remember, Alex Wachira was running for Kenny, member of parliament, and was made PS in charge of energy. And then the other gentleman was given a job in government. So I believe his expression that there is enough space in government is so convincing in that he's the one in charge of government. So that those people who will not be able to get elective seats out of a free and fair competition will still get accommodated within the arrangement of the government that will be in place.
All right. So should Professor Kithure Kindiki, according to you, feel a sense of relief with regard to his position as the running mate for President Ruto come next year? Just that statement by Oburu Odinga. And I remember I asked you, could we have misread what Oburu Odinga said? And should Professor Kindiki sit pretty?
No, I do not think so, because that should not be the motivation for him to relax. In any case, I'm of the opinion that in as much as the stability of the government holds him as the second in command, of course we saw that he delivered in Mbeere North. It is expected that within the UDA arrangement, he makes more efforts in terms of consolidating Mount Kenya and also reaching to other parts of the country the way he has been. You know, Amy is not the shareholding type, so he has been talking to all parts of the country, he's been talking to different people, and I'm sure that he'll put in more efforts to ensure that the votes from Mount Kenya in particular are delivered to in the basket of President William Ruto, even when other people are also consolidating different parts of the country in support of the president. But again, apart from that, the president is a unifying figure, as expressed in the Constitution of Kenya 2010. And again, President William Ruto has got his own skills of reaching out to different parts of the country. When we go towards campaigns, after having all these leaders, he'll also go and look for votes at an individual level. So I think he's like a father, they say, in a homestead with so many children, so he'll have to ensure that each child's interests are taken care of.
Yes.
But on Professor Kindiki, I do not think he should just sit pretty and say, okay, my position is guaranteed. You know, the position can be guaranteed, but if you do not make enough efforts to bring votes on the table, then you'll be of no value as far as politics is concerned. So he needs to put in a lot of efforts to ensure that he consolidates the mountain, both Mount Kenya East and Mount Kenya West, to be in the basket of President William Ruto.
Yes. There's a pressure on individual politicians who are seeking re-election to be selfish and consider themselves first, especially within the UDA framework. It's already reported that about 9,000 new aspirants are seeking to unseat those who were elected last time. You had that statement by the pronouncement by the Speaker that almost 60% of these members of Parliament will not be able to come back. Do you think that this kind of concern, plus what Senator Mungatana raised, could impact negatively on UDA, especially with people feeling that their space or the burden of being already elected and seeking re-election will be too much?
Interestingly, you know, winning or losing an election is a very individual benefit or loss. And the circumstances that lead to someone winning or losing an election are so much based on how or what they have done within their specific areas of jurisdiction. Therefore, I do not think if the coming together of the parties will threaten some people's positions any different than it will have threatened if they were not in that kind of coalition. So, in my opinion, and of course I'm one of those thousands of people that have been mentioned that be seeking the seat of Dagoretti North on the UDA ticket. So I do not think if that would be a factor of any sitting member of parliament to be scared about anything.
Not even on the ODM side, now that they're getting into a coalition with UDA, many people within the Nyanza region may feel that it would even be easier to go as an independent candidate. After all, the Raila Odinga effect will not be there.
I do not think so, but now, if you speak of Luo Nyanza, those ones who are insecure, of course there are certain politicians who just relied on Raila raising their hands and they got elected. I think those are the only ones who are supposed to be scared. But people who believe in the democratic processes are not supposed to be scared of anything. They need to go and present themselves and compete fairly. If they win, they win. And if they lose, that's democracy. And it's not so special that those people who will be in the coalition are the only ones who will be threatened or who will be advantaged. It will have to do a lot with a person's individual effort and a person's individual skills of trying to convince the voters.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Let us now consider the other headline on the front page of the Standard. I'm sure you've seen it. And that's where it talks about Uhuru Kenyatta and how he could potentially work with the united opposition towards ensuring that the president does not get re-elected. In fact, the headline is the one-term plan. And according to this story on the Standard, there's a deal brokered by former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo in Nigeria. We recently saw the former president, the fourth president, alongside the Wiper Party leader attending an event in Nigeria. Do you believe that, yes, indeed, there's a lot of truth in this headline?
You know, the media can be very interesting. Sometimes the news that comes out is speculative, sometimes from undisclosed sources. Sometimes, you know, for this one, I cannot say no or yes because I've not been in those closed-door meetings where they discuss those issues. But, you know, when I look at the Standard, particularly, it's owned by Gideon Moi or something.
So you feel that this is a sponsored headline, Bwana?
Yes.
But they say where there is smoke, there's definitely fire. And we did see the former president. And optics, when it comes to politics, photo op can speak 1,000 words.
I think very interesting media or news headlines attract more readership. So that's what I'll conclude. Because why would they report this today and yet the meeting between Uhuru Kenyatta, Kalonzo Musyoka, and Obasanjo happened more than a month ago? So why would they wait for all this time and then report today?
Yet,
in my opinion, these are crafted headline. But again, in politics, anything is possible. But if I look at some of the things that happened during the Azimio demonstrations, when some people were in government and some of us had lost elections and were out of government, I do not think if there will be any basis of former President Uhuru Kenyatta embracing the impeached former deputy president Rigathi Gachagua at the expense of working in the best interest of the country.
Yet we can see...
One of the problems we have in this country, I don't like saying this thing, especially about President Uhuru Kenyatta, because I worked under him for 8 years when I was an advisor to Cabinet Secretary Eugene Wamalwa. But I think people who have served, especially at the high level of presidents like President Uhuru Kenyatta, should also give room for other people to lead the country in the best way that they can. Because President Uhuru Kenyatta,
who are you talking about here?
Time, he served, and now this is the time for President William Ruto steering the country towards prosperity.
You seem to be referring to a certain person. Who is this person you're talking about? Who worked under Uhuru Kenyatta?
President Uhuru Kenyatta is in retirement, right?
We've seen his party Jubilee.
Let him allow other people also to lead.
We've seen his party Jubilee working very closely with the united opposition. His choice of candidate, Fred Matiang'i, according to the leadership of the Jubilee Party, should be running for president. We've seen that continuously they're working with the united opposition. Don't you think that, yes, there's some truth to this?
even if we assume that there's truth, is it the right thing in the first place? Because he is presenting, he presented Dr. Matiang'i as a project of sorts, because that's exactly what President Uhuru Kenyatta himself was in 2002. And you know how people reacted to such kind of candidature. So what I'm seeing, and I saw even Dr. Matiang'i the other day referring to the so-called good old days when they're in government. I remember there was a time I told you, Fred, that the government that I'm part of is always good. The one that I'm not part of is bad. That's the kind of unfortunate thinking that we have in this country. That people still want us to live in the hangovers of their glory, the days of glory when they're in power, which they're trying to reclaim at the expense of national progress. So national progress is much greater than someone who has hangover of power and is still interested in getting back what they lost. There's nothing that comes out as a Mwananchi agenda as such, beyond people who miss high positions and right now they want to get back to where they were.
Okay. The story on page 4 of the Standard also talks about the love-hate relationship between Rigathi Gachagua and Uhuru Kenyatta. They've worked before, then they fell out bitterly. Any possibility that they could work together? Do you believe that that could have a game-changing effect on the elections of next year, to whatever extent?
We say that in politics there are no permanent enemies and there are no permanent friends. It's about interests that are consistent. So, in my opinion, anyone can work with anybody, depending on the shifting interests and what works for them. But I do not think ideologically President Uhuru Kenyatta, whom I hold in very high esteem, can work with Rigathi Gachagua to pursue the interests of the country, unless if they have their own interests that are selfish, that are not in the interest of the country. Because ideologically they don't come from any school of thought that is common as far as governance is concerned. Even if they worked together in the past, there's no kind of thinking that is so common between the two of them. Because if you look at President Uhuru Kenyatta, he attempted to be a national leader. He was accommodative. But Rigathi Gachagua is a shareholder's man. This is a man who came up with the concept that there are Kenyans with more shares, others have less shares, and others have none, referring to those of us who are in Azimio as non-shareholders.
Isn't that the same discussion?
That we have no right at all in this country.
Isn't that the same discussion we're having now with ODM demanding nusu ya hiyo ng'ombe ikikatwa katikati?
The ODM people have not talked about, even if they are talking, the Nusumukati language is very common with the ODM people. But they have not come out. Remember, Oburu Odinga, interestingly, keeps on talking about, we just want our share. We don't want another person's share. That's what he's been saying.
It's the same discussion about shareholding.
But now, the difference is that they want a space in government without necessarily referring to other Kenyans are people who do not deserve any space in government. That's very different from what Gachagua used to say. He used to say that there are Kenyans with more shares, others have less shares, and others have none. I've not seen that coming from the ODM side. The ODM side are just saying that they have been out of government, and right now they want to either form government or be part of government. That has been the consistent message that I've been hearing from them.
All right. Let's now consider a bit of Western Kenya politics, because it's also playing out, and I can see a headline on page 3 of the Standard talking about the Deputy Governor of Kakamega, Bwana Savula, Ayub Savula, exiting DAP Kenya for UDA. Previously, and this has been in history, that ODM was a bigger party in Western Kenya. Now we can see UDA making serious inroads, that a person of the stature of a Deputy Governor of Kakamega is now going towards UDA. Don't you think that this also could affect the workings of UDA and ODM, especially in Western Kenya? Is the president already ahead of ODM?
No. First of all, remember, UDA right now has a big representation, because what used to be ANC under Honorable Musalia Mudavadi is now part of UDA. And if you can remember very well, before Savula joined DAP, he was in the ANC, if you can remember very well. And UDA having that kind of arrangement, and again, the president has also done a lot of efforts in reaching out in Western Kenya in his own individual capacity. The influence of ANC has a very strong say within Western. And therefore, Savula expressing his running on UDA in Western is also trying to compete fairly because we are a democracy. In Kenya, we no longer have those positions whereby people go unopposed. People run and compete, and that's the meaning of a healthy democracy. So if one person wins, well and good. If the other person doesn't win, there are also other mechanisms of accommodating those ones who do not win, and that's democracy.
Doesn't this speak about the waning strength of ODM in Western?
Wants to bargain, because if he just sits there, there's a likelihood that he might be sidestepped or overstepped when it comes to deciding the running mate. So if they'll be having an arrangement between ODM and UDA, then it'll be much easier that eventually when they settle on a gubernatorial candidate, whether it's ODM or UDA, the deputy will be of the other party.
Don't you think this one speaks to the waning influence that ODM has, especially in the Western Kenya politics? We had yesterday Oburu Oginga speaking about the perception that ODM is a Luo Nyanza party. Don't you think that, yes, it's becoming more of a reality, that the other areas where the party used to have influence, it is now growing weaker?
Of course, my own personal position on this issue is that the influence of ODM in Western has waned. And UDA has gained. Even before the Right Honorable Raila Odinga passed on, I walked through those areas of Western, Kakamega, Vihiga, and I saw so many people had moved to UDA. That was around the time we were moving towards the by-elections of Malava. So in the ODM's influence in Western had gone down even before the Right Honorable Raila Odinga left. And since they are coming together, there is no loss to anyone, because whatever ODM had lost has been gained by UDA, and whatever ODM has on that side is now also part of UDA. So either way, it's a plus for President William Ruto. He's the main winner in this arrangement as we move towards 2027.
The party that the president runs, UDA, appears to be cannibalizing its younger relatives, especially in Western Kenya and other areas. We saw what happened to ANC. For UDA to continue claiming a better chunk of the Western Kenya vote, what does that mean for parties like Ford Kenya, for instance?
For Ford Kenya, I think Honorable Wetangula has his own plans, but I think it was it was the desire of the president that all these parties, now that they were under one umbrella of Kenya Kwanza, come together to be part of the main party UDA. Something that Honorable Musalia Mudavadi accepted and proceeded and executed. But I think Honorable Wetangula was slow on it for reasons best known to him and maybe his supporters.
Do you see that party surviving any longer, given the kind of inroads that UDA is making in that region?
Yeah, I think it's a matter of wait and see, because there are competing interests, but then again at the top, at the presidency, they are agreeing. For as long as the presidency is agreed upon, the rest of the structures can allow democracy to prevail. So that those people who can win on Ford Kenya is good for them. Those ones who can win on UDA, it's still okay for them.
Yeah, because on page 6 of the Standard, it talks about the other side of the country, and that's the coastal region where PA is one of the parties, and that party has denied plans to merge with UDA ahead of the 2027 polls. The president has always expressed this wish to have a big monolithic party that could only compare probably to the Communist Party of China. In fact, a lot of the benchmarking was conducted in China with officials from UDA going there. Now, do you see this push continuing, even with the kind of resistance we're seeing from PA and Ford Kenya?
I do not even find logic as to why a party like PA will want not to fold and be part of UDA, because they are beneficiaries, and as much as whatever they brought on the table in terms of votes cannot be quantified as such. So I do not think it is their best interest to continue resisting that, because I've seen the thinking of Honorable William Ruto, because he had this same idea about Jubilee before the disagreement between him and President Uhuru Kenyatta came up. So I think is looking at a futuristic arrangement whereby parties do not die with the founders or the owners. You know, like we've just discussed at the beginning of this discussion, that parties in this country have always had a lifetime equivalent to the leader or the leadership of the party. I think the arrangement that the president wants to put in place about UDA is one that creates some kind of posterity, that even after the crop of leaders, the current crop of leaders gets out of leadership, you can still talk about the party 20, 10, 30, 40, 50 years or 100 years to come.
Don't you think that William Ruto is doing the same thing, create a big party that will be solely dependent on him as leader, and then once he exits, that's the end of the party, however big it will be?
I do not think so. I think the plans, like you stated, is trying to have it akin to the party that was founded by Chairman Mao Zedong of China, the Communist Party, who was around up to 1976, and the party still goes strong as a main party in the People's Republic of China. So I think he wants to entrench democracy, but within the context of progressive leadership, so that the policies and the plans that he has in terms of developing this country are consistent, and there's a good plan in terms of succession, so that the developmental plan of the country is not interfered with. Remember, he talked about us being like Singapore in another 30 years. He talked about 2055. So that means that the people who are supposed to steer the ship towards that direction are people who are properly politically inclined and ideologically inclined to understand the developmental program that he has initiated, so that whether he'll be in power or not, or whether in the coming 100 years or 200 years, when he will not be around, the kind of progress that has been initiated will continue going from one step to the next without interference.
All right, Fwamba NC Fwamba, thank you so much for your time with us this morning and for contributing to the political debate that happens to be on the front pages of the dailies. Let's take a short break because, as promised, CS Geoffrey Ruku is with us, Cabinet Secretary, Public Service, Human Capital Development and Special Programs in the Government of Kenya. He is here with us in studio. He'll be talking to us about matters drought situation and response, the feedback that we had about this delivery of the public service, his sentiments about Mount Kenya politics, as well as the ODM UDA coalition plans that are underway and are much talked about. You're watching Morning Cafe.